We were talking about this in our sales meeting this morning, about just trying to read into the conversation. And you said something about that, Chad, too. It's listening, right? You're listening. Neil says it a lot in our stuff, but like you're selling with your ears, right? You're listening to what they're saying to find the clues. That's how to get there. And one of my producers this morning, she said, this guy, I know I have him, but and we're a better deal. I'm giving him more coverages, like the sweetheart, right? We should have it. And every time I talk to him, it's some kind of crisis, right? And I said, well, okay, so there's some kind of, I said, what is the crisis? And she goes, well, I never ask him. I'm like, well, you need to ask him first of all, but if he's always in a crisis, then likely you're creating another crisis for him by making him make a decision. Like he just doesn't know how to make a decision. So you have to identify what this moment is every time that you call him and it's a crisis, right? This guy just he's just afraid to make the decision. And oftentimes in most of these sales, that's what it is, right? They're scared to make a decision. So once you uncover what it is, and people are afraid to ask. Is there a crisis over there?
Yeah. Somebody wants to show me their baby. I'll be here in a bit. But yeah, it is. I mean, it's interesting. I think we stopped listening a long time ago. We go into something and it's about us. Right? And if when you're engaging in a conversation, you're really in a pattern of hypnosis, right? So you go first and then you can meet him there. But if you're bringing all your conditions and wants and needs and desires, and you're too busy thinking about that rather than jumping in their model of the world and helping them sort it out.
Right.
If we can't go into the conversation and we're on the outside trying to focus on our motive, we can't make that connection. You're too busy about, do I have the price, or do I have, whatever it is that he wants to hear, or is he going to shut up, or whatever it may be. But if you just let go of all that and just be present and truly listen, I think we'd go a lot further. Sometimes it's very hard to do, especially for certain people. But a lot of times they want to be heard, and nothing's going to happen until they get that out.
Right.
Yep.
And if you let them, in silence is it's awkward for everybody. But when they ask a question with somebody like that, just don't be the first person to talk. Let them process it. They're processing. And it's hard because 10 seconds might seem like 4 hours.
Yep.
But that's kind of the way that I've ran. It's like, if they're going through something and they're processing it, let them have that space. And, you might actually just help them resolve something other than their insurance.
Yep. And I think I think that's probably the rookie move. The mistake is like you teach somebody, okay, this is what the opener should sound like. This is what you should do here. This is what the close should sound like. And we have all these scripts and everything. And they're so worried about following the process that they can't be human and listen. And I think that's the pro part of it, is when they can transition, like they got all the steps down. Now they can just kick back and listen.
Yeah. Well, it's like, are we operating like we were with our buddies when we were younger, where you couldn't be the first one to prove your point that you were right? You're just waiting. And you always had like some reason of why you knew more or better than them, right? Or you had the right answer, right? And it's just trumping, right? It's like, are we going into our calls like that?
Yep. So funny.